You don't think more police make streets safer?
No, Joe. I'm a black woman in America. I do not always think that more police make streets safer.
What? What the fuck?
People say, well, we need more officers to make us safe. I think we have to rethink what safety means in America.
This is sad. This is very sad. The fact that someone like Simon Sanders has an audience, this shows the level of mediocrity from the Democratic Party.
That's what the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does this work?
Wait. They asked her, do you know what the chain of command is? She said, what does that mean? This is DC Chief Police. They asked her, do you know what the chain of command is now? She said, what does that mean? She doesn't know what chain of command means. And this is the result of a DEI hire. This is the result of a DEI hire. And that's why DC is unsafe. And that's why it is necessary for the president to take action and protect the resident of DC. I'm gonna move it back a little bit. They asked her, do you know what the chain of command is now? She said, what does that mean?
That's what the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does this work?
So,
oh my God, she doesn't know what the chain of command means. Even the term itself describes itself. Chain of command. Who reports to who? Chain of commands. What does that mean? And that's why the mayor understood, oops, this DI hire was hard. And now the mayor is coming to answer the question. Oh my God. And that's why here we are against DEI hire, man. That's why we are against DEI hire. Like we always say here, man, if you are good enough, they cannot ignore you. It doesn't matter if you're a woman, if you're black, if you're gay, if you're a transformer. It does not matter. Have enough skills. Be so good they can ignore you. She doesn't even know what a chain of command is. What a shame. She should be fired.
It's just embarrassing, right? You know, folks like this DC police chief prove that DEI doesn't just mean diversity, equity, and inclusion, but it also means did not earn it. And so I think it's actually crazy that we continue to see people like this in positions of power, but it's unsurprising when you see the results of what we're seeing all across Washington. When we see, again, young people running amok, committing acts of violence, and of course, seeing no recourse, being subject to things like yoga classes to help, get them back on the right track. It's absolutely insane, but thankfully, the adults are back in charge in Donald Trump's Washington. We're going to see Pam Bondi right this problem. We're going to see Kash Patel right this problem. But most importantly, we're going to see President Trump make our shining city on a hill, the shining city on the hill, the brightest that it could ever be.
Meanwhile, a Washington Post poll of D.C. residents found that 91% described the problem of crime in their city as extremely or moderately serious. The paper also reports this, and I quote, there are stark divides along lines of race and income in the poll, with black residents and lower income residents significantly more worried about crime than white residents and those with higher incomes. As they were last year, black women are among the most concerned, with 65% saying crime is a very or extremely serious issue, compared with 82% who said the same last year. And Simone, in your latest op-ed, which you wrote for MSNBC, carries this headline: Trump's brazen D.C. power grab feels personal, because it is. Tell us more.
Wait. How it feels personal when over 90% of the residents say, yes, crime is a major concern for us. 90% of the people said, yes, we are worried. How is it personal? Let's listen.
Well, look, I think that Donald Trump is deploying a very familiar playbook that has been used in the past, and he's just updating it, for cable news and social media. He's painting a distorted picture of urban chaos, questioning the competency of local black leadership, and then he's pushing for federal intervention that strips away local control.
What does black leadership have to do with a chaos? The people of DC say, yes, we need help. Yes, we are concerned. And now the president says, you know what? let's send help.
I believe that Donald Trump is using the issue of juvenile crime in the District of Columbia. And I will just note, for the last 10 years that Mayor Bowser has been mayor, crime is constantly cited as the #1 issue when residents are polled. And so I have definitely not suggested that no one cares about crime. It's personal for me. I'm literally talking to you from my home in Washington, D.C. But the issue is that Trump is using this as a pretext, specifically the instances of juvenile crime as a pretext for his authoritarian overreach. And because of the law in Washington, D.C., the fact that there is federal control over the District of Columbia in some regard, it makes it easier for him to do. But to be very clear, I think that the president has been very consistent. And when he says that next is Chicago, New York, LA, Oakland, again, all cities with black mayors in states.
It's not all cities with black mayors. It's all cities with some of the highest crime rates in the country. Now, if they happen to be black, now that's a different conversation. We can ask, wait a minute, what's the correlation here? Is there a correlation? Or is it a causation? Hello. But all the cities you just mentioned, those are some of the most dangerous cities in the country. So yes, it rightfully so for the president to say, we may have to send federal help. But the Democrats, all they want to do is play identity politics. Oh, the president is doing that because he's a black mayor, because he's a black governor. But 90% of DC people say they want the help. 90%. So what does that have to do with race?
States that have Democratic governors, I would note, I think people should take him seriously. And if he succeeds, he will have essentially overturned local elections and taken powers that have been given the leaders that frankly oppose him. And he's gonna not stop in the blue cities, if you will, or with the black mayors. It's a pretext for what he has long time said he wanted, which is the ability to send the military into the streets of America for what he deems to be an emergency or unrest.
So, Reverend Sharpton, we've heard obviously Simone's concerns and many others are concerned. I would certainly be concerned if this were replicated in other cities. Washington, D.C., obviously a unique situation. But let's talk about solutions. Where is there compromise between what concerns Simone and so many other people in D.C. and across the country?
Let's talk about solution. The solution, it starts at home. It starts at home. We need people to educate their children. We need people to raise their children. And now, when we look at the data, we can see the cities with the most black people are the ones with the highest crime. What is he saying? There is a major issue in the black community. What's happening to those kids? Why are they becoming criminals? And when we keep looking at further data, we realize, oh, wait a minute, 80% of these kids were raised without a father. Pause there. Pause there. Let's talk about the real issue. When you have a kid being raised without a father, the mom is at work. Who's raising these kids? The Democrats are never going to talk about the real issue. The real issue, which is too many black women are having kids with random dudes that are not father materials, that are not husband materials. Too many black women are having kids without being married. Marry before you carry. But you will never see the Democrats address this issue. Marry before you carry. Because if you marry, now you have two parents in the house, two incomes. Now you have more parental controls over these kids. Now you can study with these kids. They have less time to watch TV. It's clear, guys. It's clear. It starts at home. We need a mother and a father. The Democrats, they never gonna talk about the real issue.
And what we're hearing from residents of Washington, D.C., especially black residents there, according to the poll, and working class residents of Washington, D.C. What is the solution here? Because obviously, when 9 out of 10 people say crime is a problem in Washington, D.C., you would hope that Democrats and Republicans could get together and move beyond partisan lines and figure out how to make Washington even safer. And that is not to say that Mayor Bowser's not doing all she can do with a city council who, I will just say, has been very problematic for years now.
No, I think that the solution needs to be worked out sitting down and saying these are the issues. How do we stop the crime? How do we deal with it? Because as Simone said, and I said earlier, blacks are concerned about crime. I think it's been exaggerated in some cases, but that does not mean we're soft on crime. It's how you deal with it and who is dealing with it and why it is so selective. But I think that there must be a mid-ground because most crimes done by blacks are to other blacks. So it's not like we're unconcerned, but it doesn't mean that you take a different policy.
So what's the solution?
For us that you do others, and that then we have the concerns where we are afraid of the cops and the robbers.
Why are you afraid of the cops? If you are doing everything right, if you don't have drugs on you, if you don't have a warrant for your arrest, you're not afraid of the cops. You don't see the cops as an enemy. It really fascinates me. It really fascinates me to see all the race bait, to see all these things. But the solution is very clear, guys. It's very clear. We have all these crimes happening because these kids were not raised properly. I'm sorry, these kids, they were not raised properly. A kid that was raised with manners, with integrity, with values, is less likely for this kid to go outside and commit crime. We have to start from an early age. When they steal the Foot Locker, when they steal the sneakers, a pair of sneakers from Foot Locker, if we're not tough on them, guess what? Next time it's not gonna be a pair of sneakers. It's gonna be something major. So that's why it's important to be tough on crime. But it is fascinating to see all these Democrats are talking. They never address the real issue. When every data shows the foundation starts at home. Without that, you have nothing. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment, let me know what you think as I continue to bring more and better content and call out the nonsense from the Democratic Party, even though, of course, I am a conservative. I am a Republican. But I'm not afraid to critique some of the things the Republican Party is doing if I disagree with them. So I'm not one of your content creators that is just, swallow everything from the Republican Party just because they are a Republican. No, no, this is not what I do. This is not what I do. Anyway, guys, I'll see you in the next video.